Hey everyone, my name is Ben Chaish. I am a wedding and elopement photographer based in the Pacific Northwest. And as part of just kind of who I am and what I do, I feel like having a camera on me at all times is one of the things that is sort of important to my own personal visual history. And the way that I love to do that more than anything is doing that by documenting my life on film. So if one of my sort of goals in life is to always have a camera on me, the easiest way that I've found to do that is to use something really, really small, like one of these compact point and shoot cameras. Sort of more of an overview. I was just kind of looking through my closets and kind of organizing some stuff today. And then I also watched just a video by my friend Matt Day, who, if you're watching this channel, I'm sure you're already subscribed to his. But he was just kind of going over some of the cameras he had that he was currently shooting. And sort of as I was kind of moving these around, inspired me to do a quick one because I found his really interesting, just on a quick version of what cameras that I have specifically in my point and shoot arsenal and kind of what the meaning behind having each separate one is for. So we'll start off with the cameras that I haven't necessarily mentioned before in another video. The first of which is this Nikon L35AF. It has a 35mm f2.8 lens on it. Is pretty compact still. It's definitely one of the bigger ones. But one of the things that I do appreciate about it is the lens doesn't kind of like retract or extend at all. It just kind of is what it is. Nothing is really moving on this camera, but the lens on it's pretty great. The only thing about it that I've noticed in my copy at least, and this might be different from other people, my copy is a little bit hazy, a little bit soft, a little bit lacking in contrast. But one of the ways I've sort of gone about combating this is I really love the look of the flash on this camera, and the fact that it's kind of lacking in contrast. Also, since I'm photographing black and white film, I'm using the flash a lot more and not really caring. It kind of just pops up and does its thing, and I let it do that. Great camera. Another camera, which looks like a toy, but is actually a really useful camera, is this Canon SureShot A1. It has a 32mm f3.5 lens on it, and as you can probably tell because of the kind of like toyish appearance of this thing, it's actually an underwater camera and works really well. I haven't used it a ton, like I haven't gone into the ocean with it necessarily or anything, but in the tests that I've done in shooting it over the winter in a lot of snow, it's definitely like made of plastic, but it's thick plastic. So it's definitely like a, toss on your wrist, bring to the lake kind of thing. And I'm really excited for kind of things like really rainy day elopements or just kind of extreme weather stuff to keep trying this thing out. And from what I've seen, I've been really, really impressed by it. Now, the other camera that I've talked about again in my kind of like best film cameras to start in 2020 video is this Olympus Stylus. It has a 35 3.5 lens, so it's not as fast as the 2.8s and some of these other ones, but the size of it, in comparison to even like this Nikon, it's much smaller, much thinner. It's a lot lighter, even though this Nikon is really, really light as well. Just the overall form factor and everything is a lot more pocketable. But in terms of just like the most affordable, pocketable small camera, this is definitely a really, really great bargain for that to just bring to like random events and friends' houses and stuff like that once we can actually meet with people again. Makes it really, really interesting and cool, and again is just really, really small, compact, straightforward, really good camera. Moving on to a similar camera, you can see that the size difference between this Stylus Zoom Wide Deluxe, longest camera name ever, is fairly substantial. There's a big kind of like gap, not gap, but big protrusion where this lens is going to come out and do its thing here. But, you know, that's when you're kind of getting into the long end. When you're shooting at 28 millimeters, the reason I have this specifically is because I love the 28 millimeter focal length, which is why I have the Class W. But for bringing around a, you know, really expensive premium camera, you know, when I'm going to like a kid's birthday party or the bowling alley or just like somewhere out where I don't want to be thinking about where this camera is at all times, this has been a really, really good way to, yeah, bring this on like vacation things. I could bring it to the beach and leave it on a towel and like kind of wrap it up like that and like not really worry about someone seeing this like 90s mom camera and really worrying about someone wanting to steal it because it looks premium. It's not. It's like, you know, just like a great, I'm assuming they probably sold these at Costco back in the day, you know, like, but it's a great camera. I love that it has the date function. It says it's all weather. So I've taken this out on a lot of things. It's not like the fastest lens in the world. It's kind of slow. There's a lot of things that aren't like necessarily premium about it, but as just like a bring around, all around travel camera, that lens, the 28 to 80 on it, works really, really well. And I just kind of like love having it for that. The next camera we'll talk about is the Class W. I've made an entire video where I go in depth about this specifically. There's a ton of things that I really, really love about it. The f2.8 lens, the close focus, the ability to change almost all of your settings. There's a reason why, you know, this camera is definitely on the premium range, costs significantly more. You could definitely buy all of these other cameras other than the T2, because the T2 and the Class W are definitely sort of in the same realm in terms of price. But there's definitely a reason why this costs so much more. It is around the same size as the smallest camera that I have, the Olympus Stylus. It is definitely made of more plasticky stuff, which is the only thing that kind of makes me wonder how worth it is in terms of that. But all the other features, the image quality that you get out of it is unbelievable for a camera this small. And makes bringing this around everywhere just super easy. I toss it around my neck and sort of just forget it's there because it's just so small and compact. Yeah, fantastic camera. If you want to know more about it, definitely check out that other video that I made about it specifically. And then the Old Faithful for me, the camera that I've had longer than any of these other ones, and the thing that made me sort of fall in love with compact specifically is this Contax T2. I used this almost every day for about 3.5 years before I picked up the Class W. And you can, again, go check out the video that I made on it specifically, but it renders things incredibly well. I can shoot landscapes on this tiny thing and like make large prints out of it. It has a 2.8 lens, and so you can shoot in low light. It has really, really great balanced flash settings. It has the ability to manually focus with thing up here. Has a self timer, and then it is built like a tank. Like all these other ones, maybe sub this one just because it's so big and thick. I dropped this camera when I was in Arizona earlier last year. I dropped it from standing height as I was getting out of a car, out of a minivan, and I was, you know, coming out. It fell out of my pocket, landed on the ground, and like you can see that there's just a ton of like scratches and issues with it here, but this camera is just a tank. Everything about it looks premium, and there are, yeah, a few things that I don't like about it, which I got into on that other video, but as a single camera, it would definitely be a big toss-up to me whether to keep the Class W or the T2, because again, this was like the camera that I've probably shot more rolls of film through than any other camera that I own. And it's definitely for good reason, because it's so dang small. It can definitely be pocketable, and having a Zeiss lens on a full 35mm equivalent and that size. Everything about it just is amazing. So I honestly, they're really popular and all that stuff, but I definitely am one that buys the hype on this camera. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know. Obviously, I'm definitely a kind of nerd and enthusiast in the compact camera game. And then if you want to know more about the other film cameras that I have and photograph with, I have lots of videos kind of, again, going over these ones and lots of these ones specifically. I use a lot of Leica gear. So if you're into film photography, definitely consider subscribing, liking this video if you liked it. Comment about any of this stuff. Even if you don't have a comment to leave, just leave something down there because it helps get this video out to more people. And then subscribe if you aren't already. Again, lots of this content coming and has already been done in the past. So if you are a film nut like me with all of this goodness, if this makes you feel like Christmas and something you'd want in your Christmas stocking, this would probably be a good channel for you. So thanks so much again, and I will see you on the next one. See ya.